This is it.
I feel like we need to start this with like a cheers.
A cheers, no?
I feel like that's a proper
Shout
way
out.
to. It's
Next
happening.
time we'll have branded mugs.
Absolutely.
Here's to the living room.
This is the living room.
The living room, right? Yes.
Welcome to the living room.
Welcome to it.
I love it. It's ringing.
No,
It's ringing nicely.
It's sinking in very nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
So, let us introduce ourselves. I think you can start.
Yes.
Yeah.
The tea is really nice. We are drinking tea. You know, sometimes people think we are masking
Oh, facts.
alcohol with cup,
No.
but
Just a red bush.
just, you know, yes, some
Red bush.
nice herbs. So welcome to it. This is the living room. And my name is, what's my name? Yo. Nothende, Black Olive, Madumo.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Represent, yeah. And I'm Kelebogile Leepile.
Yes.
Yeah. I usually just say all three of my names, but no buts.
Not today.
Not today.
It's okay.
You know,
It happens, you know.
some people know me as Salamina. That's lovely. That's a name that's actually growing so much now.
Really.
I don't know why, but a lot of people that I don't expect calling me that are calling me that.
Maybe because it's not so common. So it
Yes.
feels special, you know.
I'll take it.
Right?
I'll take it.
I love
I'll
it.
take it.
I like embracing names, you know. I know that sometimes as Africans we're told, your maybe your Christian name is, there's a lot of
Yeah.
talk about that, but I've learned to embrace my name, you know, Olive. It rings beautifully. It
It's a
means
beautiful
something
name.
you know, it's quite meaningful. And I'm named after my grandmother.
Same. Salamina is my
Exactly.
my dad's mom. Yeah.
My mom's mom, Olive, and they called her Olive. You know, like affectionately. So it wasn't just a side name that she had that no one used, but they really called her Olive.
That was her
So
branding. Yeah.
I love embracing, you know, just all my names.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. I actually grew up not using any of the names on my ID.
Really.
Yeah. So they used to call me Mado,
Because
which
of-
was so Salamina's other name was Doris.
Oh.
So batho ba bagolo would just
Okay.
call her Mado.
Uh-huh.
But then as kids, as you go, you get tired of saying Mador. It
Yeah.
just goes Mado.
Uh,
Just Mado. You know? So I grew up Mado for, I think maybe around grade 10. I started, when somebody asks my name, I was like, Kelebogile, but it also I would forget. If somebody calls, it's like Kelebogile, and I'm like,
that is so crazy.
And I'm
It's
like, no,
interesting
that's
how
you.
like we go through different stages with our names, you know? There's like you're mentioning a time when Kelebogile would be just an awkward sound
Yeah,
to your
yeah,
ear.
yeah.
And now
yeah.
it's
the opposite.
It's a complete opposite.
Yeah.
If anyone had to say Mado, you'd be like, hey,
Unless you're like a very old lady from my dad's side of the family trying to kiss me, then it's like you don't know me. You don't know me anymore. You know that's not the name I use anymore. Yeah, but like I like what you said. It's different, and it wasn't clear until I moved to the city, and obviously I introduced myself as Kelebogile, and then I go back home and I'm like, whoa, these people don't know me. I'm still that girl, but I'm not that girl.
Yes, true.
And it was a little bit of a phase, a different change that didn't make sense even to me. But but now I embrace all my names, all of them.
Yeah, look, it's a story, you know. For me, that's how I see it anyway. It's a story that has been unfolding in your life, you know. You went through different timelines, different phases with all these names, you know. They all carried different weights at different times. So it's all part of the journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
That word journey, I mean, I use it so much, but sometimes I cringe at my own self for using it because, it's such a busy word.
It's
out here in these
in these streets.
social media healing streets. The journey, it's all about.
Journey.
But it really is a journey.
It is a journey. Life is a journey.
Lately, I say life is a wave because that helps me embrace the ups and downs. Like, I just have to remind myself that I'm just riding waves out here. I'm not stuck. It's not like what's happening now is all that's going to be happening. It's gonna go up and then it's gonna go down. And it's gonna go up and then it's gonna go down, and that's just how it is.
So speaking to that, I went from being able to sit an hour during meditation comfortably to not being able to sit through 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
Wow, what happened?
I just fell off. I fell off. But recently I'm going back. So what I'm doing is for the most of January, I did like 20 minutes, which was progress from 5 minutes. So now I'm doing 30 minutes. And one of the things that I say to myself when I feel the discomfort come back and the distraction is that it passes.
Yes.
So like I have to stare at this discomfort until it passes. And yes, I think yesterday's meditation was quite lovely in that I realized, I was like, something about discomfort is like threatening to explode. It's just like, if you don't change positions right now, your knee is gonna
like
burst
your whole
open.
your whole body is just gonna go into a spasm.
And I was like, and then the alarm went off, and I was like, I made it. I didn't, So yeah, it's a wave. It's a journey.
It definitely is. It definitely is. So changes, right? We've decided to talk about changes in life because I think that's the one constant thing, throughout everything that we go through, all the different experiences. We all experience change on some level, and I think we've already been talking about change, with our names and the different stages of life that we're going through as we're embracing the different parts of ourselves. Even with your meditation, how it changes as you are going deeper into it, as you push yourself past those stages of discomfort. And I think if there's one thing that we can all agree on is that change is uncomfortable.
So
it
brutal.
is so uncomfortable, and it just hits you. What I notice with myself is that it takes me time to realize that I'm going through a change. It must first be like I'm being attacked, I'm at war, what's going on, and I must lose my cool and just go through a whole hill and mountains, and then I realize, oh, okay.
I was changing positions. I was changing phases.
This is what's happening. And sometimes I wish I realized sooner, like as it's happening, I would love to have the wisdom and the mind that almost instantly or as quickly as possible just captures and understands that, no, wait, you're going through a change. Relax yourself.
Do you think you would react differently though?
I think I would, because I can go up in arms, I can be very reactive when things are going upside down. I will cry, and when I realize that, okay, this is what's happening, then I start to calm down. They say what, balancing or calming down your nervous system. So my nervous system goes through a lot when it's all I'm going upside down with it, right? So if I were to recognize it sooner, or at least see it sooner, then I would be able to calm down sooner
Yeah.
and feel better and feel more relaxed and trust
Yeah.
the process. We always talk about trusting the process, but I feel like I would trust the process easier.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
As opposed to it being so late. I don't
Yeah.
know. I know, we say timing or everything happens at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
But what if we could just speed up something? you know?
Unfortunately, I think for me, I've had the experience of not knowing when I was going through a change, and then knowing when I was going through a change. It's the same.
Really?
It's the same. Except now I'm on the other side where you are, where it's like it sounds wrong, but I feel like I've gone to the point where I'm just like, okay. You know,
It is
it's
what
like,
it is, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And not in a I don't care what's going on or what is this, but in a I don't have control.
Yeah.
I've never liked control to begin with. It just felt like a lot of responsibility that I was like, no, I don't want that. You know?
I think that being in that space is like being in surrender mode, because you're almost giving up on trying to be in control.
But the thing about that is that you're going against the waves of what surrounds us, because around us there's a lot of you need to be in charge, you need to be control, you need to control your emotions, you need to be in charge of the state of, to be quite honest, you don't have any kind of control of that. You know, the best you can do is not go with the madness.
Yes.
You know?
And the irony of trying to be in control is that you actually create more resistance, you create more friction, you create more, tension.
Yep.
Because you're out here just trying to.
And that's why change is brutal, because we're resisting it. We're resisting it. And I honestly, I can't say that the other side is good or not. I can't.
Life is life.
And life is life, man. You know, you just live it. So I can't say it's better to be on the side where you realize that, I've given up control, but I know that resisting for me for a very long time has caused more chaos.
Yes.
Just more, and I'm a panicky person. I wasn't always panicky, but I'm a panicky person. So it's better this side where
There's more peace.
there's more peace.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
Titanic,
and it
nice.
helps. I overthink. I'm an overthinker, so it helps to release myself from having to think about and figure out.
Yeah.
How am I gonna get out of this? How is this gonna be fixed? So being in that space of surrender, it relieves me from the strain of overthinking, because I can think myself into multiple rabbit holes.
Oh Lord. But I think that's a lot of us. People say there's like overthinkers, and then there's. I think all of us just go through a lot of thinking. I think so. I think it's a state of. It's proof of life to some extent. Yeah.
I guess. I mean, thing you were saying earlier, that the mind never goes off, right? Even when you're sleeping, it just tunes itself in a different. Space, different dimension, frequency, whatever, but it's still going. It's the machine is still running, so to speak.
It's proof of life.
It's proof of life,
of the brain itself.
But I think overthinking, there can be a line where it's not healthy.
Definitely. Definitely.
And I think a lot of us struggle or suffer from the unhealthy overthinking because we're not talking enough. It's like we're keeping a lot of things in.
Yeah.
And they stay in the brain, and we kind of feel like we need to figure it out ourselves. Like, I need to, part of wanting to be in control, like, no, I'll be fine,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got this.
Why do you think we like to suffer in secret?
because I think people have experienced or even seen people experience shame in sharing, in being vulnerable. You know?
Okay.
And I think there's the fear of being shamed, whether it is being shamed by your family or by society or in your workplace, you know? But I think people are afraid to be openly vulnerable because banagana gore yo abantu bazothini, you know. Yes, we say that's a bad syndrome, but I think it's a reality.
It's a reality
you
that
know,
people face,
because there has been shame. We have seen it, whether we've experienced it ourselves or seen it, you know, via somebody else. But some people out there are mean. You know, some people are really mean. It's not just young people, all ages, all generations. You have people that say some really terrible things, and I guess you could say there are people that they are hurting in their own capacities, in their own lives. But you know, them being mean makes it difficult for other people around them to comfortably come out and say, hey, I'm going through this, you know, I'm actually not okay. I need help. You know, whatever it is that a person needs to express for them to actually just find some relief. But we need to push past that because, I don't know, I think we create more strain when we don't speak.
Definitely.
You know?
I agree.
And then we probably even sit with the shame ourselves. It now sits, the shame that we feel we're going to receive. We shame ourselves. And therefore
more
stop
than
ourselves.
Exactly.
Right?
I've recently experienced the fact that I shame myself more than anyone has ever shamed. And it's so funny too. It's such a brain glitch in the sense that I'm a very free-spirited person. And I think
I saw that maybe 99% free.
Maybe. I am, but I think there was stuff happened, and I wouldn't say people. I've never experienced. I don't have a lot of experience with people being very mean to me or like unkind to a point where like I feel like I need to dumb myself down. But there were things just happening outside of my control in life that forced me into like a little box where I spend a lot of time with myself, and it wasn't a nice place. And for the first time, every time I stepped outside of that box, it was a lot for me. It felt like people are watching me. Just because people have been waiting for me to come out of that place. And it felt like, now I need to perform that I'm okay. Now I need to perform that I got this. No one has ever said that to me. No one has ever said, okay, by 4:00 tonight, you must have it together. We can't, you know? No one has ever said that to me. But just being in that place for so long with myself, by the time I got out, people waiting to hug me felt like such a shameful thing. Like I was just like,
you felt exposed.
I felt exposed. I felt there were expectations that were not communicated. I was creating all these things in my head. So I don't know if that comes from having experienced, I hate this word, but trauma. Having experienced trauma, or having seen, like you said, how mean people can be and imposing that on the people that actually really care about me. I've never, and I know there's one friend who always just like randomly will say, oh, by the way, no one is shaming you. And I was like, are you reading my brain?
Thank God for people like that, hey, because I mean, I get you. We live in our heads so much.
Yeah.
And we sometimes use, like you're saying, because of trauma or whatever other reasons, to defend ourselves, we build these walls and we tell ourselves the meanest of things, the craziest of things, so that nothing else that anybody can throw at us can hurt us, you know?
That's crazy.
So you tell yourself that, no, I'm not worthy of this, or people are expecting this, or, you know, they're using me or whatever. And you've made yourself believe that, even though that's not the case, you know. Then you go out there and everything just feels strange. You're questioning everyone. You're doubting yourself.
And it's so crazy because I'm thinking now, as you're speaking to, I'm always telling one of my cousins that, well, now nobody thinks that. It's so easy for me from the outside to tell her, like, nobody thinks that, or so nobody's crazy. And yet sometimes I don't hear it, or I don't believe it.
Yeah. One of the harshest, but also, you know, real perspective one gave me was 3 words: get over yourself. Like, get over yourself. Not everybody is thinking about you like that. Everybody has their own problems, their own things that they're dealing with. No one's nitpicking at your energy shifts and your mood changes and your times of whatever. Just breathe.
I heard a clip, Toni Morrison saying something similar. Like, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the actual words, but she was speaking to something about serving others, and she's like, for a minute or for a day, just forget about your little self. And I have my needs, I have my and I was like, alright, fair, bro, I guess it's all about me.
It's a harsh reality. I mean, I won't lie, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It is when you really think about it,
I'm okay
as much as
it.
we feel justified in our processes, right? Our thought processes and all the things we're feeling and experiencing. And I guess we're also just navigating ourselves. We're trying to figure this life thing out, you know?
Do we have to, though?
We don't. I don't think we... I stopped trying to figure it out.
I don't think we have to.
I'm not trying to figure it out anymore. But I think we just get so consumed with how we're experiencing life, how we're seeing it, what's happening to us, you know, even if it's stuff that's happening around us that would be affecting everyone else around us, but we're looking at it from our perspective, you know, and we're worried about how people are seeing us, how they're thinking about us, what they're saying to us, you know. So from that perspective, I get why one would look at me and be like, girl, get over yourself.
Yeah.
Just relax. You know, be here with everyone, for other people, and the people who are with you, who are for you, they'll be that, regardless of whatever's happening in your brain, whatever's happening in your heart, whatever's happening in your life. They'll show up for you, whether you doubt yourself, whether you trust them or not. You know, they'll be here. So, but I stopped trying to figure life out because it's too much for my personally, for my overthinking brain. It's too much.
Yeah.
Maybe also age is a factor. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, maybe when I was young, I had more mental capacity.
It's like, you know what?
Just
we're
like
gonna
solve
break
for
you
X.
down.
Yeah, like let me see, X equals you know, all of the whole calculation. But now I'm just like, no, actually, X is X. Today X can be 10, tomorrow's 2, the next day X is Y. It's okay.
It's okay. That's
know?
true. That's true. Change, man.
Yeah, change is so difficult, man, but it's necessary. Especially, I feel like we go through different kinds of changes. There's the everyday change, because we're changing every day, you know, like, for instance, we're always a day or a second or a minute older whenever younger than at any point in our lives. We're never younger.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's like a constant change that we're experiencing. Like our bodies are literally just aging by the second, by the minute,
Yep.
by the day, you know. We go through the normal changes that comes with age. You know, when you get older, you get into your adult life, or you become a mother, or whatever. Just the norms that we just see and we understand as a society. But then there's those like very unique
Like
changes.
eventful.
Yes.
Like very
Eventful, and it's unique to you and your journey and your life. It's not that you turn 13 and now your hormones are hormoning, but it's that maybe you had a major breakup or some traumatic experience in your family and how it affected you, or somebody said something to you, and now you're just like, I can't do this. This way of living, and however the change happens in your life. But I feel like those changes are the difficult ones. Those are the ones that
unexpected changes. Unexpected changes are the most challenging one, because they do feel like a surprise one.
You know, a surprise is like a nice thing.
Okay.
I call them plot twists. It's just like, just when you think, you know, you've got it figured out. That's why I stopped trying to figure it out.
No, because then you think you crammed life, and then change, an unexpected change happens, and then you're like, you know what? Give me zero. I don't know anything. The scope is not the scope. Question doesn't even make sense. I'm out. You know? But yeah, I've been having quite. I'm saying it's beautiful now in a hindsight. Because when I was experiencing it, I was just like, who's going? I don't understand.
Yeah,
you know?
when you're in it, it's chaos.
But now I've been having quite like a nice experience, and the way that I see like my relationship with change. I welcome it. I use it, if anything, you know. For example, the other day I read somewhere that I had this piece of writing that I've had for a very long time that says, you know, in case of emergency, break routine. And that's like a change of from your routine.
I like that.
So you like every day you're going this route to this route.
Darling, not the mother tongue. It's okay.
You're going this way to work or for your afternoon, you know, workout. If that's feeling mundane, just take a different. Don't quit walking or running. Just switch it up. Switch it up now. Go to a different street or go get coffee afterwards or run.
Do something different in the
because that the thing with change that you engage, like when you engage change, it gives the same reward as when you finish something that was hard. Especially when you engage it actively. As opposed to resisting it.
I think that is what makes change happen faster. I think. If some of the things we do causes resistance, which only delays the process, then embracing it, I feel like opens it up, and
I see.
You know,
it's
it
like
happens.
a cheat code.
Maybe, you know.
Yeah, because if you resist, you end up in a loop.
Wabona.
Because change happens because life must continue. So if we're not you're not going outside and you think the world is lava,
right?
You end up in this room for a very long time.
I think so. I really think, as much as I always say, everything in its own time, everything for a reason, but we don't have to suffer for as long as we suffer. I really don't think we have to suffer through certain things. We can learn lessons. We can have intense experiences.
And then sometimes we don't even know that. I mean, obviously, everything is a lesson, but I think sometimes it's difficult because we're expecting a lesson. You know, my friends and I sometimes will say things like, I wonder what God is teaching me with this thing. You know, this thing that's annoying me.
Meantime,
or whatever.
God is like, there's
like,
no lesson.
like, I think sometimes you don't even have to wait or declare a lesson and a change. Maybe just accept that change is happening. I think I've had to learn that with grief. I was stuck in I need to know what the do we swear on this podcast?
It's the living room, girl.
I just realized I went as long as we went, and I didn't say so do we swear? I'm like,
be comfortable, be free.
Okay, cool. But I am trying to cut down. But I'm just gonna say fuck for a bit.
Yes.
I was like, I just need to know what the fuck this is and why and how. That kind of put me in a loop. And obviously you can't regret. I don't make the habit of regretting, but I don't regret it. I don't think there would be a faster way to get through grief or like as an Andy Wheeler. But I see now that had I just accepted, you know, will I accept if something else happens again that just rocks my world? I hope so. But in hindsight, what I'm saying is, I see what accepting does to a big change that you don't want. Just accepting that it's happened. I don't know what accepting means in action, but it's like, I guess we don't do this anymore. Oh, I guess this is what we're doing now. And then moving past it.
Yeah. Look, it's not easy to accept. The mind is so powerful. I think the human mind can send us spinning and spiraling, you know. It can take us into spaces that are just hectic, you know.
Yeah.
And to come out of that, it takes, whether it's time, practice, whatever practice one needs to get into, habits, routine, you know, it takes a lot to sort of switch the mind to really understanding, you know, from being maybe angry to accepting, from being afraid to accepting. It's like, it's crazy that being afraid is here, and here's this line, and here's acceptance. And it's just a line, eh? But yeah, we walk it like this.
Like, you know what? I'm gonna go there first.
Yeah, let's
actually I'm gonna lie down and kick. And then I'm gonna
scenic
go.
route.
I'm gonna take the scenic route.
Very scenic route.
I'm gonna take my time. I'm not in a rush.
But reaching that point of acceptance, it's like a it really is.
You feel a little dumb. What was that? Was so dramatic.
Like, I can't believe Nekelela all this time, you know.
It's like, you know, I made some statements about some things. I'm a different person now. Sorry, I changed now. So, but yeah,
it definitely brings peace. I have more peace. I have more peace now than I've ever had. I can't remember a time when I felt more peace, you know. I grappled with just anxiety, stress, depression for so many years of my life. I think since I was like 19.
Damn.
It's just been one thing after another, after another, after another. And I think that put me in survival mode.
Ooh.
Always having to figure things out, always having to, okay, I have to put down this fire, I have to do this, this has come up, I have to sort this out now because there's too much chaos happening around me. I have to you know, control it and numb it down, and whatever it is that I felt like I needed to do and solve for it, I have to figure it out. I have to, what is God trying to tell me? All all of those things, that would just keep me in a state of survival. Because I felt like I was doing all of that just to survive. It became just my way of surviving because I was constantly dealing with anxiety and depression and whatnot. And I reached a point, I went through an experience that was extremely traumatic, but it was almost like my trauma wanted to be released from me.
Okay.
It was like coming up to the surface full force so that it could just be released. So obviously it coming up to the surface full force was excruciating for
painful,
me.
Yeah.
It was extremely painful. I don't remember ever crying so much in my life.
Ooh.
I cried every day for maybe like a good year.
Hectic.
I'm telling you, it was just every day, every night, went to bed with tears, woke up with tears. It was insane, right? But as I was navigating, going through this, I reached a point where I physically, also mentally, emotionally, I just got so tired. I got tired. I didn't have the energy to even think about the situation or this problem, or I just didn't have the capacity anymore. Physically, I was also just tired. So I just wanted to sleep all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't have energy to be out there, to be around people. I just wanted to be in bed the whole time.
Yeah.
But that put me in surrender mode because I stopped. I stopped trying to control. I stopped trying to figure out. I stopped trying to, always solve the problem and bring solutions into it. Yeah, I'm a solution person. I love solving problems, But I stopped with that. And in that, I just saw myself starting to accept things more and more.
Yeah.
And in accepting, I then no longer felt annoyed or frustrated by certain things that were happening or not happening.
Yeah.
So when I am faced with a challenge now, I'm not gonna stress about it. Even if I do have a moment of stress, I understand that it's just a stressful situation, but I'm not in a stressful state. I'm not going to, let it sit with me and sink into my
You're not
my
going to become
being.
the thing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
So I'm stressed for that moment, for that day, for that situation. Then I'm over it. We move on, But that. Being tired, I think, everybody's story is different. Everybody's journey is different. But for me, I just got tired. But that was a blessing in disguise, because I stopped.
I love that. I resonate with that. But I don't think it's anything to the extent that you experienced. But I absolutely get the point where you're like, I've went through the dramatics of everything, the extent to which I wanted to jump off, buildings. And you're like, that dramatic of experiencing the thing. But I also got to a point where I was like, I find myself not reacting that way. So now, like, okay, stress is stress. Okay, this is a stressful situation. When I go home, I don't live a stressful life. That's not,
Look, we all deserve some peace, man.
I love that.
When you look at this world and how chaotic it has been and it is, like, the world does not get less chaotic over time. It's just expounded, So when I look at it, I'm like, okay, is this gonna be me? I see what's happening. I see the world will put you under pressure to try and be this person or not be this person, to speak like this, to not, whatever. Just, there's just so much control that the world is always trying to have over you,
Yeah. Or to convince you to have
Or
over life.
exactly,
Yeah.
But that has caused so much strain that I've had to find, or at least I found freedom in releasing myself from that. So much peace. So
You may look crazy when you let go of
I
control,
don't
but
even care. I am crazy, I guess.
that's the
you know
thing.
what I'm
You
saying?
have to love it. That's what I'm saying. You gotta
it's
love
really
it.
okay. I think embracing change, it also has to come with a little bit of delulu.
Madness.
In the same way that you want to believe that you're going to receive something that you don't have, but you believe it in the same kind of energy, that you embrace because that's also change, right?
Yeah.
There's something that you don't have, but you are bringing it into your current existence just with your mind, with your energy. It's not physically there, but you already accepted that change. You've already accepted it. So the difficult things, with the same energy, just accepting it, it just it makes it easier. I don't want to say it changes the scope of, the situation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go through what you have to go through.
Yeah.
That's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like you go through it with a little bit more ease, as opposed to, I'm imagining going into like a tube,
Mm-hmm.
and if you resist, it's going
You're not
to
gonna
be,
have a great time.
it's gonna be tough. But if you just let go, then you just slide through, then you come out the other side, renewed, rejuvenated, with a story to tell or whatever.
Absolutely. Just to add on to that, and maybe this is like my last bit. I'm gonna quote the church. I went to church last week, and the preacher mentioned the very famous Psalm 23, I think. The Lord is my shepherd. You know the deal, guys.
Yes,
Read your Bibles. Read your Bibles. You know what I'm talking about. that scripture. And one thing that she said that stuck, and it just sparked now as you're saying, it doesn't change the scope of. She said, when you go through something and you very know in your heart that the Lord is with me, God is your shepherd, and you're walking with God, it doesn't change she said value. It doesn't change the value of the pain.
Yes.
It just means you're not going through that alone. So you're going through it with God. And if you know who God is in your life, that's like, I don't know how many tons or kgs of weight
that's
just
lifted
off you. So I like that. It and what you're saying now, Hora, it doesn't change. Pain will be there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be there.
Jonga, the sun doesn't shine the whole day.
So yeah, just that's just my bit.
There's a song that's come to mind as you're talking about that also helped me embrace change. In fact, it came out during lockdown time, or I discovered it at that time, I don't know. And it helped me embrace the changes that we're all going through during lockdown, COVID times. It's a song by John 9. It's called A Note to Self.
Okay.
And she talks about exactly what you just said, that regardless of what's happening around me, I'm going to be okay. Even if the outcome is not going to be good, I'll be fine. It'll be okay. Even if it's not going to be okay, I'll be okay.
The gag is you're going to live.
That's the thing.
Until you're not. And when you're not living, why would you worry about that anymore?
And even then, it's going to be okay. it's really going to be okay. It sounds crazy when you say it like that. It sounds like you're believing something that's just,
It's like,
come
no,
on,
we're not
it's
promoting
toxic positivity.
Exactly.
It's not toxic positivity, but it's real. I think it's real. It's important for one to have some spiritual grounding anyway, because that helps one actually go through stuff with a little bit more ease,
You gotta believe in something, bro.
with a support system, So, yeah, man, change is difficult, but we're out here.
We're out here. We're out here. And I think we'll be exploring this change theme for a bit.
Yes.
For a bit. Because it's so broad, it's so huge, and now we kind of like spoke about the broadness of it. And I think we can speak into like how different changes, just like different specific changes,
definitely, because we
come into our lives.
Yeah, and I think also hearing other people's stories.
I would love that.
Because we don't know everything. We don't know everything that everyone's been through. So it would also be nice to hear the different changes that people have experienced and how it has affected them, for the worse or for the better. We don't know, know. But we're definitely gonna explore more on the subject and see how we evolve and change.
I'd like to see this. Yeah, no.
But it's been good. It's been good.
We're good. Even when we're not, we're good.
That's what's up.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, man, that's the first living room session. I love it.
First living room session with
Nothende, a black olive,
Madumo, Kelebogile, Leepile, and come with us. I don't know where we're going, but I'm excited.
Yes, join us. Just be in the living room with us.
Be in the living room.
It's for the living. So
Proof of life.
Come here and live and be alive.
Proof of life, man. Thank you.
Only on Represent Port.
Only on Represent Port.
Represent
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
All right.
That's beautiful.
No? I was dope.
It actually looks like the whole thing.
I saw.